My name is Lars-Erik Liljelund. I'm Director General here in the Swedish Prime Minister's office and the Prime Minister's Special Advisor on Climate Change. Before that I was the head of the Swedish EPA and also working in the environmental administration for nearly 25 years before. And before that, University of Stockholm for 16 years. I was chair of Arctic Monitoring and Assessment Program during the 90s. So I've been visited Greenland several times, Ilulissat, Nuuk of course, and also smaller remote places. And I remember when we did our first assessment, the AMAP assessment, we presented 97. We had a very brief description on the impact of climate change in the Arctic areas. At that time we were lacking a lot of knowledge. IPCC hadn't done so much about the impact in the Arctic environment, but we give rather strong signals that we should in the Arctic area see the effects much more earlier than in many other areas around the world. And this was the point of departure to make a special climate assessment, the AKIA report. And now we can see during the, after the millennium shift, we can see more and more signals coming from the scientists that we have a process going on. And that is of course that the Arctic areas, you see, as we already said during the 90s, we should see the effects earlier in the Arctic areas, and that is also in fact what we see now. The sea ice is shrinking, the glaciers is disappearing, and you have a lot of water on the ice, especially on Greenland. So this is of course very worrying, and it really underlines the importance that we as soon as possible can have an agreement, a global agreement. Climate change is a global problem, needs a global solution, and also as a basis for that solution we need a global agreement, which means that we will have must have a fast reduction on the emissions of greenhouse gases, and we need of course support from developed countries, the developing countries, to handle this situation, but the overarching issue is emission reductions and mitigation. And for Greenland, for example, it's very, very difficult to say that we can have an adaptation because the ice is melting and you cannot adapt from that. Of course, you can adapt from flooding and such things. So it's a really tricky problem we see in the Arctic areas, and hopefully in Copenhagen we will have the starting point for mitigation around the whole world.